Before you sit down to paint, make sure you have 2 jars of clean water ready on your desk. I prefer to use glass jars because they are more sturdy and they won't move around as much. So the reason why we need 2 glasses of water is because we'll be getting rid of excess paint in the first one and loading the brush up with clean water in the second one. So as you can see, my first jar is already filled with blue water because I had some blue pigment on my paintbrush and I got rid of it in this jar. So now I have some pink paint on my brush and I'm going to get rid of it in the same jar before I load the brush up with clean water before I mix another pigment. So as you can see, because I got rid of the first layer of pigment in this jar already, this jar stays pretty much clean and it's not contaminated by the pink paint anymore. So I'm good to mix another color with the same paintbrush now, so maybe yellow or something that's just completely different. So as you can imagine, this jar will become quite dirty quite quickly because we'll be mixing a lot of different pigments in the same water. But that's completely fine as long as you have fresh water in the second jar. So this is a very simple but essential tip about watercolor painting because a lot of people struggle with the paints becoming muddy and losing their transparency. So if you want to keep the vibrancy of your watercolors, make sure you always have at least 1 jar full of clean water. Once this jar gets really dirty and becomes super muddy and it's just completely filthy, replace it with clean water because you don't want this jar to get too contaminated with this water. But essentially this is a very good tip and it will prevent you from losing this vibrancy that we all want from watercolors. Then prepare some kitchen towel and have it ready next to your painting. So I just used a simple kitchen roll that is very soft and absorbent. We're going to be using this paper to get rid of excess water and excess paint. So this will just be super helpful because sometimes you accidentally load your brush up with too much water and it creates puddles on your paper. So if you use your paper towel for quite a long time, it's going to end up something like this, in this nice little mess, but it's important that the paper is absorbent because you want the water to soak right in. It's also very important to have some scrap watercolor paper next to your painting. So essentially you need some paper that has been discarded in order to test your colors and make sure that the mixes that you've done on your palette are correct. So sometimes I use loose sheets like these, or sometimes I incorporate old sketchbooks that I don't need, and I test all my colors before I put them down on my original. So that's just a very neat way of making sure that the colors you have loaded on your brush are the ones you actually want. And then you can adjust your colors if they are not the proper ones. So keep that always next to your painting, it will save you a lot of time. Whenever I paint, I keep more general art supplies or office supplies next to me. So I always have a ruler, some scissors, a soft pencil. I tend to use HB pencil, a pencil sharpener, and of course a rubber. So I recommend that you purchase a putty rubber. It's slightly different to a normal rubber because it's kneadable, so it's very soft. As you can see, it's kind of moldable. And it might look dirty, but believe me that this doesn't leave any stains on watercolor paper. So basically what you do is you dab it lightly on your pencil lines, which I will demonstrate in action later on. But you just dab onto your pencil marks and this rubber just lifts the pencil marks off your paper. So it works like magic. It's very soft and delicate, so it doesn't destroy the surface of watercolor paper, which is very fragile. I recommend that you purchase this and use this for your watercolor painting rather than using a normal rubber that you have to, well, you have to rub quite hard on your paper with a normal rubber. So these are just some essentials that I use. I will show you how I prepare my working space, but the ruler and scissors will come in really handy if you'd like to trim your paper into a desired size, which I personally do a lot.